بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ومولانا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. My dear respected listeners, brothers, elders, everyone present, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah, once again we are seated in the masjid, in a place where the angels gather, and we will be remembering the actions of the companions of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, radiyallahu ta'ala anhum ajma'in. Every week we try and sit down, sometimes after a couple of weeks, sometimes after 3 weeks. But alhamdulillah, we do sit down, and we must try and keep it constant as much as we can. And though totally we may not be the best of people, we aspire to be better. We are good in ways that we have good intentions, alhamdulillah. We may have intentions to wake up for tahajjud. When the time comes, we're a bit lazy and we don't do it. At least the intention is there. And now it's our duty to try and bridge the gap between our intentions and our actions. That's the first thing that comes. If you don't have intention, you're not going to do something. If you don't intend to do good, maybe by some accident, by some chance, you might do some good. If you're not going to intend to do it in the first place, how will you ever be able to do it? So intention should always be there. And as we all know, if someone makes an intention to do good, you get reward for the intention. And once you do it, the action, you get rewarded 10 times. So that's something we should always look forward to and try our best. And as is one of the main reasons why we do this, is to try and take some aspect from the lives of the companions and try and bring it into our own lives. Well, we can't imitate them completely, but something here and there, or try and strive and do something that they do. The sacrifices they made, they stayed hungry for days. We can't do that, but we can fast. Especially these days, winter is very easy to fast. Here and there, Monday and Thursday fasts. We can do these fasts. And with intention to imitate the Sahaabah. And inshallah, these were the people that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was pleased with. Okay? He had said that He's pleased with them and they are pleased with Him. Maybe we can also be one of those that inshallah Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is pleased with as well, by following them. So we were talking about the sacrifices. This is the current theme of the hadith that we are doing, is regarding the sacrifices of the companions. Maybe it inspired some of us to also make some sacrifices. The past few weeks we were kind of busy. Maybe we were making some sacrifices, hopefully much more than turkeys, which is halal. Alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does say in the Quran, Kulu washrabu. One action which we all love to follow, yes, eat and drink. Why are you eating so much? Because Allah told us to eat. But Allah also, Prophet showed us how we must eat. The moderation was given, the amount that we should eat. And yes, as I said, turkeys are halal, but while you're having it, could have some consequences. But if your intention is to eat and follow the ayah of the Quran, then by all means, please eat. So we're going to be talking about one of the companions of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, a very prominent and eminent companion, who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chose to be one of the main mediators between the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and ourselves. How? This one man, radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, is responsible for the most narrations to be narrated from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. In every single book of hadith, you will find at least one of the narrations there. Out of all the Sahaabah, he is the one that contributed the most. And that's actually very amazing, considering the amount of time he spent with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. According to most of the records, his name, Abu Hurairah radiallahu ta'ala anhu, I'm sure most of you have already known this. Abu Hurairah radiallahu ta'ala anhu, which we should translate to father of the kittens. His name is debated so much within the commentaries of a hadith that there are 40 different mentions of his names. No other Sahabi has that much, contention regarding what his name could be, what his name could not be. 40 different names have been narrated for Abu Hurairah. Abu Hurairah is what we call a kunya. It's loosely translated to nickname in English. Nickname doesn't quite cut it, but kunya is something you call someone by that is not their name. Usually by the name of their son. Someone who has a son called Musa, we call him Abu Musa. That will become his kunya. That's not his name. His name is something different. So we do have other people that have their actual names that are like kunya. Like myself, my name is Abu Tahir. I don't have a son called Tahir, but that was the name my father gave me. And that was actually my real name. I mean, when I do speak to people who speak Arabic, and Arabian people, when I ask them, they ask my name, when I say Abu Tahir, the first thing they ask me is, do you have a son? Because Abu Tahir is a kunya, it's not actually a name. Same as you have other names. But then one of the greatest Sahabi of all time, his name was a kunya, Abu Bakr. And, but as in my defense, I always do the same defense that was given by one of the greatest men of all time, Imam Bukhari himself. His name was Abu Abdullah. He never had a son called Abdullah, but that was his name. And he used to back himself up by saying, even though the common knowledge, everyone just think, why are you calling yourself Abu Abdullah when that's not your name? That's not your kunya because you don't have one. He gave the same because a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, once he went to see one of his companions and he had a little son, a small child, whose name was Abu Numair. This guy was a child described as he has not reached balagha, so he cannot have a child because he's a child himself. And Prophet ﷺ, he says that time Abu Numair was playing with a bird, and he went and spoke to him when he said his name. And Imam Bukhari rahmatullah says that if there was an issue, Prophet ﷺ would have made an issue then, but he didn't. That's how he used to justify his name as Abu Abdullah. So we'll move on to Abu Hurairah is the name of the Sahabi he's most famously known by. But the most authentic version of his name is actually Abdul Rahman, though he's not known by that as much. Abu Hurairah is what is known everywhere. So he, as I was saying, the reason why it was so amazing that he narrated so much a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ is because he actually became Muslim in the 7th Hijri, which means he only had 3 years spent in the companion of the Prophet ﷺ, which is very little compared to the Prophet had 23 years which he preached the religion before he passed away. In those 3 years, he had the most hadith of all the Sahabas. It's not that he knew the most, he was not the most knowledgeable, he managed to narrate the most. And the reason why, there's something, because at that time, the 7th Hijri, the Muslims were getting quite comfortable where they are. 1 year after was Fatah Makkah. At that time, the Arabian conquest was already begun. The Tabuk war came the year after, but they were already consolidated where they are. So what happened, Prophet didn't have much time trying to look after other things. He can spend more time in the masjid, giving advice and talking more. And Abu Hurairah at that time, he had nothing. He used to stay with Prophet all the time. So he had a lot of what Prophet said. Whoever his people come for advice, he was always there listening, which is why he heard the most. So, and we're going to be reading about one of his times when he had a long, when he was a time spent in hardship. And one of the main things is hunger. The hunger of Abu Hurairah is quite famous. It's quite famous. And he'll talk about it later. And one other thing that I want to concentrate is something I wanted to do in the beginning, but is mostly escaped me, is the Arabic language, alhamdulillah, is very, very, it's important for all of us to learn. And one other thing about the Arabic language is it's very sweet, very beautiful. Once you read the Quran and you know the meaning, it's a whole new world. Like you can feel the word is talking to you, which is why it's always encouraged to us learn some Arabic. And intention-wise, learning Arabic, I understand a lot of people want to learn Arabic these days. It's become quite a fashion to learn Arabic. And they want to learn the kayfa haluk and all these things, which is not necessary. As in, I mean, in my own opinion, it could be necessary, but you're going to find many kayfa halukas in the Quran. It's not there. Your main intention for learning Arabic should be to understand the Quran and to understand the hadith if you have the opportunity to see them. So you should be more focused on those texts and that type of Arabic more. And once you do, you will realize. I remember my teacher used to tell us when we became Hafiz, he used to always say, don't think you've stopped now. Go on, continue your studies, become alim, learn the Arabic language. Once you learn the Arabic language, then you will understand the actual text of the Quran. And alhamdulillah, once you learn it and you read, you see exactly how the meaning come. So I was saying, one of the things I'm going to try and do I'm going to try and say some of the words very slowly so we become familiar with these words. And everyone knows what qala means. It comes quite a lot. Everyone knows qala, which someone says. And other words, small words, that if you do know them, then maybe once when you're reading the Quran, you come across this word, it sounds familiar to you. You will realize that even though if the meaning is written underneath, if you know the meaning of one word, that word jumps out to you much more than the rest of the sentence. Because you know the meaning of that word is actually speaking to you rather than you taking the translation underneath. So inshallah, we'll try and concentrate on reading more slowly and trying to concentrate on certain words so we understand. Let's begin. جو أبو هريرة رضي الله تعالى عنه دهانغ أبو هريرة رضي الله تعالى عنه أخرج أحمد عن مجاهد عن أبا هريرة رضي الله تعالى عنه وعنه مؤنى بهم كان يقول والله Abu Hurairah, he's narrating, said, I swear by Allah, إن كنت لأعتمد بكيدي على الأرض من الجوع. He goes, I remember the time when I used to press my stomach against the earth due to hunger. I found something else the other day. The word earth is actually from the Arabic word ard. It's an Arabic word that we use to the earth that we always talk about. It's actually from ard. During the Islamic dominance, when they used to rule Spain for 800 years, Arabic was quite. Arabic was also one of the main languages, and a lot of the languages, even in the English language, is actually from root Arabic words. And earth is one of them. The word ard means the earth, and that's where it came from. Obviously, it changed due to usage and everything, but the earth is actually from the word ard. So he's pressed his belly against the floor out of hunger. وَإِن كُنْتُ لَأَشَدُّ الْحَجَرِ عَلَى بَطْنِي مِنَ الْجُوعِ. And he's also pressed stones against his belly out of hunger. This is to show the extreme hunger that he was in, that it was so painful. And one of the things that we do, we fast. Obviously, the main reason why we fast is because of the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But one other reason that is given to us is so we can appreciate how the sacrifice made by others, how they feel without it, because they don't have any choice. We have a choice that you abstain. We all, as soon as we're fasting, everyone's thinking about the iftar, what you're going to have. But during that time that you're not eating, you do have this sense of hunger, and this maybe to appreciate that you have it. Now, we're talking about appreciation last time as well, and it was mentioned that you never understand the true value of something until it's taken away. Now, what we do in our lives, sometimes, like I said, we are good people in terms of intention. We try and do things, and there are times when we try to moderate our actions, try to make them more moderate and try to be. And sometimes we feel like we've achieved something. And not to belittle the action, yes, it's good, like you ate less today because you tried to act upon the sunnah of keeping 1/3 empty or something like that. We try to do something, but sometimes we realize it's not enough. There's so much more. Appreciation is actually something that when you come to the true realization of what you've done. And sometimes we can't reach that. We try, but we can. For example, for myself, we're doing wudu. Obviously, when you first do wudu, we waste a lot of water doing wudu. Down there, you turn the tap on, you're doing wudu, when you're doing masah, the water is running. We don't realize that we're actually wasting a lot of water here. Obviously, when we were learning during this time, we came to realize wasting water is not good. I try to moderate my usage of water when I'm doing wudu. When I'm doing wudu at home, I have 2 taps at home. I don't have them together, unfortunately. So when I have to wash my feet, I use a jug. But what I started doing is I used to wash both my feet with just one jug. And I used to feel very proud of myself. Because initially I used to use one jug for each foot. So now to be more moderate, I was using one jug for both feet, which made me kind of happy that I'm actually not wasting much water. Now what happened a couple of years ago, during the winter, our boiler burst. And it burst on a Friday. My mom told me the next day that it burst, and I called them up, but on weekends they don't come to fix. We spent 2 days without any hot water, and it was in the winter. So even wake up at Fajr time, we had to put the kettle on and get the water there, then use it. And I realized that I could actually do my entire wudu with one jug of water. Because that time the water was very limited. And then, so when you're not put into situations, you never realize how much you can do. And that's when I appreciated the amount of water that I used. In the word, we usually use the word appreciate for meaning to be thankful. It is thankful in a way. Appreciate means to actually know exactly how much you are doing. So that's why, and this is why when they went through all this, they began to appreciate exactly what, and we will also be able to appreciate our Islam if we can understand the sacrifice that they've gone through. So he was going through this kind of pain at the moment with his hunger. And he narrated one night, وَلَقَدْ قَعَدْتُ يَوْمًا عَلَى طَرِيقِهِمُ الَّذِي يُخْرِجُونَ مِنْهُ. So he sat down next to the pathway with the Sahaabah, أجمعين, they come and go. And he sat in that pathway. فَمَرَّ أَبُو بَكْرُ رضي الله تعالى عنه. Abu Bakr رضي الله عنه came, this is a famous story, most likely you've heard of it. Abu Bakr, he came through. فَسَأَلْتُهُ عَنْ آيَةٍ مِنْ كِتَابِ اللَّهِ عَزَّ وَجَلَّ. I asked him regarding one ayah of the Holy Quran. مَا سَأَلْتُهُ إِلَّا لِيَسْتَتْبِعَنِي. He goes, I did not ask him this question except that he may ask me to follow him. Because he's walking past and I asked him a question, he will either stop and speak to you or say, walk with me. So this was a ruse by Abu Hurairah to get Hazrat Abu Bakr to take him to his house and maybe then offer him some food. He was in that state of hunger right now. فَلَمْ يَفْعَلْ. But he didn't do that. He answered his question and he moved on. So he waited. فَمَرُّ عُمَرُ رضي الله عنه. Umar then came through. فَسَأَلْتُ عَنْ آيَةٍ مِنْ كِتَابِ اللَّهِ. I then asked him regarding, he done the same thing again. And again he says, مَا سَأَلْتُهُ إِلَّا لِيَسْتَتْبِعَنِي. I did not ask him except that he may ask me to follow him. فَلَمْ يَفْعَلْ. Again he didn't do it. فَمَرَّ أَبُو الْقَاسِمِ صلى الله عليه وسلم. Abu al-Qasim is a kunya, as I was saying before, kunya, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. One of his sons who passed away was known as Qasim. So he was referred to as Abu al-Qasim. At that time, to call anyone else Abu al-Qasim was not allowed. The word Abu al-Qasim is only for the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Obviously, now the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam has gone, because that wasn't his actual name, it was a kunya, you are allowed to keep it. As some people might be confused in the fact that Abu al-Qasim was the name of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we can't be having this name. You can, most of the scholars agree that you can do it now because the Prophet ﷺ was gone, and that kunya at that time is not a direct name of his one brother's name, Abu al-Qasim as well. So you're allowed to do that. So he said, the Prophet ﷺ, he came. فَعَرَفَ مَا فِي وَجْهِهِ وَمَا فِي نَفْسِهِ. Because he knew exactly what was on my face and what was in my heart. But he's trying to say, because of the complexion of it, when you're hungry for so long, your complexion changes. He could see he was very hungry, and he knew what's in his heart, as in the reason why he's standing here is because he wants to go home and eat. فَقَالَ أَبَا هُرَيْرَةَ. So he says, Abu Hurairah, قُلْتُ لَهُ. He goes, I replied, لَبَّيْكَ يَا رَسُولَ اللَّهِ. He goes, I am present, O Rasulullah. فَقَالَ الْحَقِّ. The Prophet said, I'm sorry, I'm laughing. I said I want to learn a bit of Arabic. Haqq, everyone knows what haqq means, right? Mean the truth, okay? So here, فَقَالَ الْحَقِّ, most people will translate as he said the truth. Sadly, this al-haq here is actually from the word al-huk, which means to follow. So when he says al-haq here, he actually commanding him to follow him. The term when he says al-haq, normally when it comes, it normally stands for the truth. So not to confuse, some Arabic words, they are in one form, they're the same, but if you go back to the root words, the Arabic name changes, the actual word changes. So here he's telling him to come forward. وَاسْتَأْذَنْتُ فَأَذِنَ لِي. Now I asked his permission and he gave me the permission. Now, if you look at the way it's going, it doesn't make sense, because the Prophet said to him, come follow me, and then he says, I asked his permission. If someone comes to you and says, come with me, and you go to them, can I come with you? What are they going to think of you? They just told you to come with them. Why are you trying? The reason in some part of the hadith is not needed to mention here. He's trying to say when they reached his house, Prophet ﷺ went inside, then he asked permission, can I come in? Very important. It's actually an etiquette to ask the person you're accompanying to, can I come into your house? You're walking home with someone, walking to their house, you still need the permission to enter. Obviously, we know as soon as they enter, we can enter as well. But as you can see, it's a sunnah that you should ask before you enter. Even when they're walking together, like, come to my house, let's go. You go down there, as soon as you go to the house, ask them, can I come? May I come in? And then they will say, yes, come. Prophet ﷺ, he said, he gave me permission to come in. So they went inside. فَوَجَدْتُ لَبَنًا مِنْ قَدَحٍ. Abu Hurairah, he said he noticed a bowl full of milk. Obviously, he's very hungry right now. That's the stuff he's going to look for. He's going inside. That's the first thing he noticed. There was a bowl full of milk there. قَالَ, Prophet, he said, مِنْ أَيْنَ لَكُمْ هَذَا اللَّبَنُ. Where did this milk come from? فَقَالُوا, most likely some of his wives, they replied, أَهْدَاهُ لَنَا فُلَانٍ أَوْ آلَ فُلَانٍ. Said, someone has given. The word fulan in Arabic means somebody. Okay? Fulan, one of our classmates was confused with the word fulan, so we told him it's a person's name. And then he was slightly big. We used to call him fulan as a joke. In Bengali, Fulan is kind of this. So his name was Fulan. One of the Fulan came in any of the lessons where Fulan comes in the hadith comes a lot. Everyone used to kind of smile and look at him. Those Ustads were very confused because most of them were Gujarati, so they didn't understand what he was trying to talk about. Why they was laughing at him when the word Fulan comes. So Fulan means someone either gave you as a gift or someone's family gave you as a gift. Qala, person said, Ya Aba Hir. Hir means cat. Hurairah means kitten. Normally the reason why his name Abu Hurairah came was he was in a majlis when he found some kittens that were abandoned. So he took them with him. They were crawling around under his cloak. So while they were speaking, a kitten poked his head out. It surprised someone. So then they said that he's the father of kittens, and Abu Hurairah, the name stuck. So sometimes they call him Abu, because most likely the kittens were grown up. So he calls him Abu Hir as well, which means father of cats. Because Ya Aba Hir, قلت, so I replied, لبيك يا رسول الله, I'm present. قال وانطلق إلى أهل الصفة فادعوهم لي. He goes, go to the people of the Sufa, Ahl Sufa, the people that have nothing, he explains here, and call them for me, invite them to my house. قال, he says, as Abu Hurairah is narrating, he goes, Ahl Sufa adiyaful Islam, because they are the guests of Islam, which means every single Muslim, they're the guest of anyone. وَلَمْ يَأْوُوا إِلَىٰ أَهْلٍ وَلَا مَالٍ. These are those people that had neither any relatives, any family, nor any wealth. إذا جاءت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم هدية أصاب منها وبعث إليهم منها. Whenever the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم used to receive a hadiyah, a gift, he used to take some of it and he used to give the rest to the Ashab Sufa all the time. وإذا جاءته صدقة, and when he used to receive any صدقة أرسل بها إليهم ولم يصب منها. He used to send all of it to the Ashab Sufa. He didn't take nothing from it. The family of the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم, they are not allowed to have صدقة, so he used to send all of it to them. قال, Abu Hurairah narrates, وَأَحْزِنِي ذَلِكَ. He goes, this made me very upset. Remember, his whole reason to come into the Prophet's house, Prophet ﷺ, was to eat something, okay? He managed to find a bowl of milk, and he's quite happy, and the Prophet came to go bring the Ashab Sufa. Now, he narrated the Ashab Sufa, they were normally around 70 in number. That's a lot of people, okay? So he's saying, go and call the Ashab Sufa. So he's feeling very upset. Ahzini means aggrieved and feeling hollow inside. You know, when you're depressed, that's how I was feeling. When that, وَكُنْتُ, he goes, أحسني ذلك, وَكُنْتُ أرجو أن أصيب من اللبن شربة أتقوى به بقية يومي وليلتي. He goes, I was hoping that I will drink some of this milk and that will give me strength for the rest of the day and the night. وَقُلْتُ, and he said, well, he's saying basically, he's thinking, أنا رسول, because I am the messenger. Rasul means messenger, by the way. We know messenger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is used as a normal messenger. Ana Rasul, I am the messenger, he'll be going and calling them. فَإِذَا جَاءَ الْقَوْمِ كُنْتُ أَنَا الَّذِي أُعْتِيهِمْ. Because when they come, more than likely I will be asked to serve them, because he's calling them. وَقُلْتُ, and he said to himself, مَا يَبْقِي لِي مِنْ هَذَا اللَّبَنِ. He goes, what's going to be left for me from this milk? This is all he's thinking in his head right now, as Prophet told him. وَلَمْ يَكُنْ مِنْ طَاعَةِ اللَّهِ وَطَاعَةِ الرَّسُولِ بُدٌّ. He goes, however, the words about to follow Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is compulsory, it's a must. So even though he's thinking all of these things, I'm going to go now. So he, not all this stuff. فَانْطَلَقْتُ فَدَعَوْتُهُمْ. I went down there and I called them. فَأَقْبَلُوا فَاسْتَأْذَنُوا. Again, they all came, فَاسْتَأْذَنُوا. They asked permission to enter. They were already called to come. Again, just from the point when you do go, privacy is very important. We were speaking before, when you enter someone's house, you know how to look in someone's house before you enter. If the door's open, you must stay to the side, knock, and when they say come in, then you may enter. You can't knock and start looking inside and see what's happening. This is a violation of the privacy. Prophet said, if someone is spying on you, you are allowed to go out and take the eyes out. Islamically, if someone does that, this person will not be punished, because he done what he can. Obviously, you're not allowed because of this is injuring a person permanently. But it shows the severity of someone. Prophet ﷺ was always telling us to be mindful of the neighbors, to be very mindful of whatever you're doing. Whenever you do something, you always be mindful of what other people are doing. When he then says to go and do that, you can understand the severity. Privacy is very important, and we must always try to respect others. So they asked permission and they entered. فَأَذِنَ لَهُمْ, they were given permission. فأخذوا مجالسهم من البيت. Then they picked their places around the house. ثم قال أباهر. Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Oh Abahir, khudh means to grab. فأعطهم, and go and give to them." So grab the bowl of milk and give to them. He's telling me, فأخذت القدح فجعلت أعطيهم. Because I grabbed the bowl and I started giving to them. فأخذ الرجل القدح فيشرب حتى يروى. Because I gave it to each man, and each man drank to their fill. They were drank. حتى يروى means when you're satisfied. When something, you want something and it's completed, and then the feeling you have afterwards, that's what it means. They were satisfied by drinking, then they passed to the next person. ثم يرد القدح, then they return back the bowl to me. حتى أتيت على آخرهم, until I went to the last of them. ودفعت إلى رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم, then I turned to the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم. فأخذ القدح فوضعه في يده. He took the bowl into his hand. وبقي فيه فضلا, and there was a bit of milk still left inside. ثم رفع رأسه. He then lifted his head. ونظر إلي. He looked at me. وتبسم, and he smiled. He probably knew what was happening, what was going through his mind all this time, and he's probably, because he was thinking, I'm going to have to give it to him, I'm the last one to have it. So he smiled. وقال أباهر, he said, "Oh Abahir." فقلت, he replied, "لبيك يا رسول الله, I am here." قال بقيت أنا وأنت. He goes, "Me and you are left." He goes, فقلت صدقت يا رسول الله. He goes, "Yes, you have said the truth, Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم." قال فأقد فأشرب. He goes, "Sit down and drink." قال, he goes, فقعدت فشربت. I sat down and I drank. ثم قال لي. He drank, and the Prophet then said to him, "Ishrab, drink." فشربت, because I drank. فما زال يقول لي, because I kept drinking, and he kept saying, "Drink more and more." I kept drinking. فأشرب حتى قلت, because I kept drinking until I said, "لا والذي بعثك بالحق." Because I swear by he who has sent you the truth, ما أجد له في مسلكا. Because there is no space left in my belly for more. فما قال ناولني القدح. He goes, "Give me the bowl." فرددت إليه القدح. Because I gave him the bowl. فشرب منه الفضل, and he drank the rest of the bowl. وأخرجه أيضا البخاري. This hadith is also in Bukhari والترمذي and Tirmidhi as well. وقال صحيح ترمذي زي صحيح كذا في البداية. وأخرجه الحاكم. Hakim has also narrated this. وقال صحيح على شرطهما. This is considered as authentic on both of their conditions, meaning Imam Bukhari and Tirmidhi. There's more of his stories, but I think we've gone over time today. So this is one of the stories about Abu Hurairah, and his contribution to hadith. We know most of the narrations were given by him, a massive contribution that he done, and he all done it by spending through the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So this is the amount of hunger he went through at some point. They all had these sacrifices that they made, and they came through with it. There's later stories, I would have said about a time when he wipes his nose with this very fine cloth, and then he remembers when he used to have a lot of problems. So inshallah, maybe it might inspire us to do a bit more sacrifice within ourselves. Again, I said keeping fasts is very, very easy in the winter. Try our best. Mondays and Thursdays, just give it a go. Yeah, and whatever sacrifice, anything, our own sacrifices are different. We cannot do what they did, but we can make our own sacrifices. Getting up for Fajr is also a sacrifice. Yeah, and we can try and get up earlier. Tahajjud, maybe Tahajjud is a lot of time. Tahajjud stays until past 6 o'clock. We can get up anytime and read it. This is a great opportunity. We'll try and take it with our hands. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the ability to imitate the companions as much as possible and to act upon what has been said. Wa akhir da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Jazakallah.